Hey, y'all, I'm Abby.
And I'm Keith.
Welcome to our 80s Life. This is the 80s Cruise edition yet again. And today we've got a special guest that is the DJ, one of the official DJs of the 80s Cruise.
That's right. He's our good friend and the best DJ, definitely on land and on sea. Please welcome to the show, retro DJ Travis Bell.
Insert applause here. Hi, Travis.
How are you kids? What are you up to? Weather is probably marvelous where you're at. So,
And we're
Absolutely
snowed
not.
in. Yeah.
It's terrible. Yep. He actually had to stay home from work today and probably tomorrow. We're gonna bust out the snow blower. It's nasty. But that just makes me want to go on the cruise like even more.
tenfold. I own a snowplow truck too, and we have 7 acres, and I hope to never ever start it because the only reason why we have it is because how long our driveway is. So,
Oh my goodness.
yeah.
Well, we just have a traditional snowblower, but he likes to do all the neighbors in the cul-de-sac. So
That's me too,
Nice
because they called me the snowplow fairy because when I would DJ, I'd get home at like 4 a.m, and then I'd go plow everybody's driveway and go to bed. And then because all my neighbors had normal jobs, and so I'd get them all out, and then I got caught. You know, everybody's like, who plows? And it was me. So I'm the snowplow fairy.
That's so nice. We have ring cams now, so everybody knows.
I get busted.
And then people bring gifts and put them on the front doorstep for him later. Like our neighbor across the street brings him like ribs and stuff. It's great.
Yeah, that's the same thing with us too. I'll get a random gift card with a thank you or something. So
Yeah. That's fun. But we're ready for the cruise, though. We got to get out of here. We got to get to some warmer.
It's time to get off land. So
a lot of our audience might not have met you before. We met Travis really, I want to say day one, but it wasn't. It was at the pre-party for the very first 80s cruise that we went on our freshman year.
We were all in Cape Canaveral, and you walked past me, and I think I did your cheerleader or your dance or whatever you did in your talent show. I know that girl, and you were like, "Get out!" And I said, "No." I said, "You know, I know where YouTube channels start, and I know where and to put yourself out there. But for you, with you and your friend, whoever, I'm sure remember her name, of course,
Toby.
And you guys are going to dance in front of the entire school during the talent show."
Yeah.
And
is it Bookbusters?
Bookbusters?
Okay.
Ghostbusters?
Yeah, and I literally was going to download it and like play it. And when I saw you in the dance club, and you'd have been like Travis Matthew Bell, like, let's not. So
you get the middle name then. Okay.
Oh yeah, well that means you're in big trouble then. So yeah, we met each other at pre-cruise, and I just wanted to let you guys know. It's like, look, and like Keith said, once you go on this, you have found your tribe. So
that is exactly right.
That's what he said on day one, and it's absolutely true. And you are a big part of our tribe. We love seeing you on the 80s cruise and watching you in action behind the DJ booth and doing your thing. It's just amazing. How long have you been a DJ? I know on the 80s cruise it's been 5 years, but what about just in total?
So let's say I always go by how old my kid is. So my daughter is alive too. My daughter should be 30. So I've been a club disc jockey for 31 years.
Wow.
So, my parents were like computer programmers, and my mom worked for the state. So, what does your dad do for a living? He's a DJ, I'm like, my daughter always had like a rad dad. So yeah, 31 years, 25 years in the dance clubs and all retro music. And then retired in New Year's Eve 2019, and then went straight on the 2020 cruise, and I've been here ever since.
So how did you get in the business?
I played in the marching band. I was a bandoid, drums, and whatever else, and I would always like remix music or make mixtapes and use cassettes and things. And I worked at a Blockbuster Music back when Blockbuster had their own music stores. And at Blockbuster, you could open up every CD in the building, and they had like a listening station. So my goal was to learn every song in the whole store. And I really, we're talking 17, 18, 19-year-old Travis at that point. And I knew right then and there, I was like, I had a friend named Phil Blake, and I think it was a special ed CD, and it was called 321 Pump It. And it was a 90s song. But they sampled Earth, Wind, and Fire, Let's Groove. And I was like, Phil, this song's like, whatever. And he goes, that's an old Earth, Wind, and Fire song. And I go, no, this came out. Like, he goes, no. And that's when I figured out sampling, and from everything from Men in Black to Forget Me Nots to everything. And so I was hooked at that point. And it wasn't the new stuff, it was the old stuff. Everything I'm doing is live. Like, I have no set list. I don't know what the next song's going to be. You know, I don't know what the next 50. I am playing live. And if I hit something wrong, it'll go or mess up or whatever else. So everything, there's no computer doing anything for me. So I have watched it evolve from all this crap I used to have to carry and to what it is now. But if anybody dips their head over and looks at what I'm playing on, I'm still playing on the same mixer that I played on in 1995.
Oh my gosh.
I cannot get away from these old Rane MP24Z mixers. I probably have 16 of them in the garage for parts, but my black DJ booth, I have a white twin to it, but it has an old 90s Rane mixer in it. I still use it to this day.
Okay. And sometimes, like for prom and stuff, we get the music videos too.
Yeah. So all of everything. And back in the day, I used to, when we started music videos at Retro Rewind, it was all on video cassettes. And so I had this like terrible thing of biting my fingernails, because like when we used to mix music, if you scratched a record, you couldn't just download it. You had to go buy it. So, but we started like the disco rounds and the places that sold VHS. We started finding music videos and things like that. And so we would play the whole night on VHS cassettes. So I'm DJing between two VCRs. And remember, if you hit play, it don't start right away. And so you would have to know when it's coming down and hit play, and then it'd mix it. And it would take 2 hours to rewind all the cassettes before we even started. So it was
no dead space. That's key. No dead space.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, you've got that down, because now they blend seamlessly. I just assumed you had already pre-done all of that.
No, everything is stone live. Every request, every person, there'll be a folder that it says 2020 80s requests, and everything everybody has requested online is already in that folder, but it doesn't mean it's going to play. I still have to, it's just like picking a CD up. Everything is live. There's no sync buttons. There's nothing. It's all live.
All right. So if you notice the picture below Travis has a big afro on.
Oh, yeah.
So Travis,
show them the picture.
I will show them the picture.
Oh, okay.
All right. So we also have a picture of Travis.
Oh, yeah. Big fan.
Yeah.
So when you see him DJing, this is what he usually looks like. So our question is, how did that start? Why do you wear the afro wig?
So when I started working full time at a club called Boogie Nights, and it's a disco / 70s and 80s club in. There's one in Atlantic City. There's one in the Hollywood Casino in Indiana. There was one in Maryland Heights, Missouri. But dance clubs are hot, and they are very, very, very warm. And then they put the DJ up higher where heat rises, so where it's even hotter as we go. So I started wearing basketball uniforms, and Harlem Globetrotters and Fletch and all these other kind of basketball uniforms. But if you got a middle-aged bald guy over there bouncing around playing music, that's fine. But if he looks like a complete idiot while he does it, he's having fun. So why aren't we having fun? Then, of course, the afro, that afro is the same afro I've had for probably 20 plus years. So it could probably walk its way across the pool deck. It is not, it's a lot going on. But there's also I put a headband to hold it on now because it's so wore out. And I had guests that came up to me when I graduated last year for the 80s cruise, and I had my little cap and gown on. And the one lady was like, "How did you stuff all your hair in your..."
Oh, she thought that was your real hair?
Now, there have been, but the first 2 years on being on the cruise, because it was myself and Christopher J., and I was able to walk across the promenade and go everywhere, and nobody knew who I was. Mm-hmm. Because the only time they saw me was with hair. And I think the first year, because these are readers, I started wearing reading glasses,
Welcome to the club.
But my glasses were fake too. So I didn't have glasses either. So I started, I'd walk through I'd eat at the Windjammer, and not one person would know who I was the whole time. And it was fine. But then, like I said, you get a cruise family, and you were like going, "Oh, it's just Travis, he's..." And you'll see me on Prom, I did the Cameron Fry thing.
You have your Cameron shirt on right now.
Oh, yeah,
there it is.
I noticed. Yeah, Cameron shirt. And but I'll or different things that I'll wear a hat on backwards or whatever else. But then the basketball outfit started evolving from just Harlem Globetrotters and Fletch to MTV Rock and Jock B-ball basketball ones that I have now, Run DMC ones. I've got 4 brand new ones for the 80s cruise. They're all stitched, they're all handmade, and all of them have a number 14 on them. Every one of my wife's birthday is the 14th.
Okay.
So every single basketball jersey I wear has the number 14 on. Even anything has a number, has number 4. It's Haley's birthday. So
that's cute. I love it.
So how did you get connected with ECP, and how did you get this gig?
Determination on this one. So I retired from the clubs in 19, and when I would DJ at the Hollywood Casino in Indiana in Lawrenceburg, it is 101 miles away from my house. But I only had to go there 2 times a week. So I would go there Friday and Saturday. So I would literally drive there, DJ all night, drive home, have X's for eyeballs for the whole day and sleep in, get up, drive to the casino again, play and drive home, and then sleep away all of Sunday. But I had a SRT-8 Magnum and it had satellite radio in it. And I would listen to Sirius XM, Big 80s on 8 or whatever, all the way down to the casino. And one year they were live from the 80s cruise. And I was like, good night. I was like, what is this? And they had Men Without Hats, where Alan Hunter was live from the 80s cruise, and they played. And I was like, dang, that sounds like a big time, right? So a year goes by, another year goes by, and my wife, Haley, she was like, we have so many different things, irons in the fire. She's like, you don't have to do this anymore. And I'm like, this is all I know. Like, I've been a club disc jockey for 25, 27 years. Like, this is it. And so I decided to retire on New Year's Eve at 19. But before that, I looked up Entertainment Cruise Productions because of that simple XM radio thing. And I found out they were in St. Louis. And I looked on their website and looked at the 19 cruise. And I saw they had DJ Christopher J. And I was like, because he was playing drums for Berlin. And I was like, okay, looks like they got a DJ already. I was like, but let me so I cold called, hand to God. I called, and the nice young lady answered the phone, and she was like, ECP, blah, blah, blah. And I said, I gave her my whole spiel that I'm a retiring club retro DJ. And she was like, let me put you through to another. And so it was Greg, who is the CEO or president of ECP. And he was like, why should we hire you? And I go, I can't give you a real good reason why, but this is what I do. And so I sent him a couple things, and he goes, let me forward you to a guy named Joey Fairchild. Oh. And Joey sent me an email back with pretty much the same, look, we have a DJ. We appreciate you, la, la, la. And I said, well, you can give me a try. If you don't like me, you don't ever have to have me back ever again. And he said, all right, let's do it. So, and that was it. I cold called ECP, somehow ended up with the president or CEO, and we're all real good friends now. And then an email from Joey at whatever. And I was like, looking at Haley, and I'm like, holy crap, they answered. And
it worked.
And so I've been on ever since. And some of these people are some of my best friends, and we call them cruise family. You get it. So they are terrific. So that's how I ended up on the 80s cruise.
That's incredible. And it would not be the same without you either.
It's true. Christopher's great too. His niche is different from yours though. So it's a perfect match because he does more of the dark wave, new wave stuff, which is also great.
I had some pretty cool skater hair back in the day. I was the dark wave, and I love it. But I ended up in pop and top 40 and whatever else. And then, the later it gets and the closer the pizza gets, it might get a little bit darker for me too. So
that's okay. We're fine with that.
Yeah.
Wisely, you called yourself the retro DJ, so you can, it doesn't have to be 80s. You could do other eras. But do you have a favorite though? I know you just came off the 90s cruise, but what's your favorite decade of music?
Oh, I'm disco all the way.
Disco. Okay.
I am Jackson 5 to Chic to Casey and the Sunshine Band to I am
Donna Summer. My favorite.
I can play 6 hours of disco and not repeat a song, and you will be like, where? And it's all, of course, music videos for me. Disco and vintage rock or classic rock's a little hard to dance to. Disco is what it's supposed to do. You are dancing, and it is incredible. It's really weird to watch kind of the disco revolution kind of now fade off, not just because the music fade off, because the clientele is getting older and older and older. Because, if you would have walked into a casino 20 years ago and you have the Elvis impersonator with 400 people in the audience, the problem is those 400 people have now turned into 200 people just because they are no longer here. Well, disco is kind of seeing that same thing, where you and I go on the 80s cruise to see these artists we wanted to see our whole life. I came on 2020 because I wanted to see Tony Lewis. His song, I Don't Want to Lose Your Love Tonight, Your Love, and Since You've Been Gone, everything that the outfield did. And what was weird is Tony Lewis was like right behind me during the Munster drill. And I brought one of those little Osmos cameras, and it has like 360 around. And I'm, he's like making faces at my camera. And I'm like looking at Haley going, freaking Tony Lewis behind us here. Over the course of the cruise, kind of Tony and I, we'd eat or we'd sit together. You and I, we all ate together one time too. Yeah. And he was like, "Hey, mate, why are you here, mate?" And I go, "Tony, I'm here because you are here."
Oh, wow.
Oh, man, it's all right, man. It's okay. And there's like one great picture of him and me standing like for prom or something. And I saw his last concert. Like, he was just incredible to me. So I'm disco all the way, but 80s is my life. I mean, I live in a pop culture house. Like, it's my life.
What's your least favorite 80s song? Is there one that people request and you're like, "Oh, please don't make me sing that," or "Please don't make me play that"?
Yeah. So the guests found out last year, because I was one of the guests on trivia for Stuck in the 80s trivia with Brad and Steve. And they were like, because I play everything and request me and everything. And they were like, "What is your least favorite song?" And the greatest thing in the world happened right after I said this. But my least favorite song is "We Built This City on Rock and Roll." We built this city on rock and roll. I would much rather jump out your choice of windows than play that thing. So if during trivia ran long because I don't know when to shut up. Normally I talk. And they came in and said, "Travis, we need you on the pool," because I had a pool set right after it. So I run out there and I start playing right before Jesse's Girl came out. And guess what they lead it in with?
We built the
Jesse's
city.
Girl played it?
We built this city, and the whole pool like turned around and looked at me, and they were like, and
Did
I go,
they know? Did someone tell them?
No idea.
They weren't messing with you?
Nothing, and I totally was like, you see me like shut my laptop computer, and I'm like going, and they were like, all the guests that were in trivia that came down and saw the pool set, because I had to split real quick to go play pool. They were like, "Dude, they did that on purpose." But hand to God, on their set list, taped to the pool stage, "Built this city," and I was like, "Good night." So, but I never told them in that trivia session what do you either one of you have a favorite 80s song? If you can dwindle it down.
That's so hard.
That is hard.
The one that, if you ask Spotify,
yeah,
it does keep track of all that. My most listened to, and this is probably true, it may be my favorite, and actually this is an 80s cruise artist this year. It's Always Something There to Remind Me.
I love Naked Eyes.
Naked Eyes, that whole Naked Eyes, it's right there. That entire album is one of my top 5 albums, probably, that I my most played.
Do you know that song is a remake?
Did I know that? I don't think I did know that.
Yeah, use one of your computers. It's Dionne Warwick. Always Something to Remind Me. And it's like Soft Cell, like Tainted Love. Tainted Love is a remake also.
Yes, I knew
but Always Something There to Remind Me. When we get off this podcast and you listen to it, you'll be like, "Travis Bell, this is not really."
You're gonna ruin it for me. Thanks a lot.
Sorry.
When there is always something there to remind me.
Do you have a number 2, or is that your home run?
Well, I would always go with anything Duran Duran. I have a couple of favorites. They're not like necessarily their biggest. Well, Union of the Snake is probably my second favorite.
Right.
But then anything off of the Ragged Tiger album.
Yeah. What's Keith? Where's Keith at in
80s? I don't know if I have a song, but mine artist is definitely Depeche Mode.
Yeah.
I'm a huge Depeche Mode.
Me too. So the one thing that I never told them when they asked me what my least favorite 80s song, which was We built this city. When Casey and the Sunshine Band broke up, which they never really did, but when disco died in 80, 81, no one wanted to hear disco anymore. No, disco, disco, disco. And there were no record labels that wanted to record disco or anybody who had to do with. So if you were Casey on the Sunshine Band, you were That's the Way, and that was Get Down Tonight. Yeah. And they didn't want to have anything to do with you past 1981. So Harry Casey had a song called Give It Up by KC. Yeah. And he had to go overseas to record it and then come back as KC without the Sunshine Band, without it. And they recorded it and they released it. And it went like top 11, like 11 on the charts or whatever else. At my funeral, you can play that song. That is my favorite 80s song of all time. And I always try to sneak it in because people are like, no, 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 baby, give it up, give it up. And they're like, this is disco. I'm like, no, it's like 83, like, whatever. Oh. But my backup is It's My Life by Talk Talk. And what was great is we had the Escape Club this year or last year, which is so weird to say.
They were good.
And the piano player from the Escape Club was the piano player from Talk Talk. And I ended up riding in like a bus over from the hotel with him or something. I said, not to be this guy, but were you the keyboard player for Talk Talk? And he said, I was. And I said, gosh, I brought up an old video of him playing in Montreal or whatever. And he said, yeah, that was about the time. And he had some wonderful stories, blah, blah. And they ended up playing It's My Life. That was mine. So yeah, I'm Casey, baby, give it up or give it up. And I'm Talk Talk. Spotify will be like, dude, play a different song. I'll be like, no.
I like looking at the stats at the end of the year, but it's funny because I rarely have a breakthrough artist that's not 80s. There are a few, but rarely.
Yeah. When they started the 90s cruise, 90s was tough. 90s is very difficult to play.
So close together, but they're so different. So how are they different? How would you describe the main differences between the 80s music and the 90s music?
Yeah. So 90s, I mean, we are not going to go out and dance with Smells Like Teen Spirit. But we can dance to Shook Me All Night Long, and you can dance to You Give Love a Bad Name, or Living on a Prayer, or Pour Some Sugar on Me. Rock really, it was a mess in the 90s. But then the rap and or hip hop or dance music is a little tough because you're either Gangster's Paradise or we're Tootsie Roll. Like you're either as slow as molasses or flying. So 90s was tough, and Joey was like, do you want to try it? And I'm like, all right, yeah. Because for me, everybody's like, because I'm like you guys. So I lived and breathed and loved. I bleed the 80s. I'm everything has to. I own the Dane Generally from the Dukes of Hazzard. Like, I am
get into that.
80s child, right? But I graduated in 91, or at least my graduation year was 91.
That's him too.
So everybody's like, but then your college years and stuff are 90s and whatever else. But the problem is in 94 into the first month of 95, I was playing at a club called the Vogue in Indianapolis, and they had a night called Retro Rewind. So in 90s, I was already playing 80s and 70s music, even though 80s was whopping 5 years old. Right. Even though I lived it and listened to it in like my Geo Tracker or whatever else, I never played it. And so the 90s cruise was the first time I had ever played it. And it was, we have a studio in the house, and I was down there for like 5 weeks and refused to play anything else. And it was all 90s. And Haley's other office is up in one of the other spare bedrooms. And she'd send me a message. She goes, okay, that one was good. She goes, I don't know where you're going here. And I had to relearn all the stuff that I would listen to in my tracker or whatever else. Yeah. And learn Lit and other songs that were dancey. But, where 80s have like sing along, like Don't Stop Believing and all this stuff, 90s is like, so we had to learn the sing alongs and this and other. And they could not have done a better job. It was awesome to watch this generation of kids that have like disposable income now that can go and have some fun. And it was awesome. So.
I mean, we heard nothing but great things about the 90s cruise, to the point where, because when they first told us about it, I was like, well, I don't think I want to, because same as you, I'm like, 90s music, whatever. Yeah. I'm stuck in the 80s. But so many of our friends from the 80s cruise went on it. And then I was getting FOMO because I was looking and it was like, okay, babe, this looks like they're having so much fun. And I saw you and a couple of times we had some messages back and forth. And I was like, okay, I'm really wishing we would have done this, but we might jump on board. So we already kind of talked about we share a mutual love of the 80s.
Sure.
But, and you mentioned your collection, but we really didn't get into it. I know you have some 80s pop culture items, one in particular that you're going to show us tonight.
Sure.
How did that all start?
It's just like the 80s cruise. Like, I am one of those people that just cannot give up. But Haley and I have a bit of a distance between our age, so she knows not to say anything she ever grew up with because it'll end up at the house like 3 days later. January 21st, 1979, I was sitting on my father's lap waiting for the Incredible Hulk to come on, and it was replaced by a TV show called The Dukes of Hazzard. And so I fell in love with the stupid magic orange car that flew, and then the black talking car, and then all these other 80s pop icon things. But as I became older, I was like, dude, let's go buy one, build one, find one. And that's where it all went way bad. So, if you come to the house, there's a full arcade in the basement of all vintage 80s games. And they're not like repops. They're everything they're hard to take care of. Of course, I owned multiple General Lees from the Dukes of Hazzard. I owned the very first one ever. I had a talking Trans Am. It's in the Celebrity Car Museum in Branson. So the first car you see is my old black talking Trans Am.
All these weird gadgets, you'd think they'd give you a radio.
What would you like to hear?
What the hell was that?
Just all these childhood dreams that became fantasies, that became adult dreams. And I was doing everything I can do to check off the list of everything. Like, I wanted to see the General Lee fly. So I hired a bunch of stuntmen and we jumped to General Lee. I wanted to race across the country in the ambulance from the Cannonball Run. So we did.
And our friends can see some of these adventures on VinWiki. So we need to talk about that.
I'm on the channel VinWiki on YouTube, and we tell car stories. And mine usually get a little bit crazier than everybody else's car stories. I drove the Bluesmobile through the Dixie Square Mall before they tore down the Dixie Square Mall. So all these goofy things that happened in the 80s, I tried to recreate as a 30 and up year old. And now I'm in my 50s. And 50-year-old Travis is a little smarter than 30-year-old Travis. But every once in a while, I post my childhood bookend pictures just to let everybody know. So,
well, we love to hear Travis's car stories, and we each have a favorite one. Yeah. So we wanted to share that. If you guys are headed over to VinWiki after this to watch some, they're all great. My personal favorite would be the Beretta, because look.
Oh, good night. Look at that.
That is my first car, which was a Chevy Beretta. As proving your theory that everybody at some point has owned a Beretta.
Yeah, it's either a Cavalier or a Beretta, but yeah, it's I just off the driver's side picture. Who's in the background left?
My grandma.
That's grandma. That's Meemaw.
My Meemaw.
Meemaw hanging out. She'd be happy we're chatting about her and be like, check out the Beretta.
She was amazing. I don't know why she was there that day when we took that picture, but I know when I got the car, I hadn't turned 16 yet, so I wasn't allowed to go out on my own. So I loved it so much. I would go and sit in the car and just do my homework and wait until I became 16 and drive by myself. And then I had lots of adventures. What was your favorite?
All right. So my runner up was the one when you bought a cop car.
Oh my gosh, that was so funny.
That video was incredible.
Yeah, that was 30-year-old Travis. 52-year-old Travis would not. My birthday's in 2 days, so I'm still 51, but 52-year-old Travis would not do that. But yes,
I ended up in jail on that one.
I had the short version. I had a Crown Vic, a 1998 Crown Vic. And I bought it from a police department with the motor knocking, and they were going to run it in a demolition derby. So I bought it as is, and I put a motor in it. And I drove it. I drove that thing for probably 2 years. And I had a sheriff car, and I bought it that way. So I drove it, and I finally got pulled over in that thing. So,
but the story you told about hitting the ice, the black ice, and wrecking that thing. I was just
digging it out for free.
If you haven't figured it out yet, Travis is a master storyteller,
and an adventurer.
Yeah. So go to VinWiki and look at those, but just type Travis Bell and you'll get all his car stories. But my favorite one, and we must have been kindred souls growing up, because I grew up in the deep piney woods of East Texas. I loved the Dukes of Hazzard. It was
Yeah.
like my show. So finding the first General Lee is incredible.
Yes.
And then jumping it that you were talking about. And then I even love the one on the paint colors, as far as
TNT.
yeah.
TNT something.
TNT Express. TNT
TNT
Express.
Express.
Yeah.
See, we paid attention.
That's a great story. But
Yeah. It was, when it all leads you to back roads of Georgia and you have no idea where you're at, and you end up finding the first General Lee. So,
I mean, if people were mad, whatever, you rescued that, because if you hadn't, it would still just be sitting there dead.
Yeah, there's a lot of people that would have loved to have had us have left it alone, but it was really sharp and rusty and painted with lead paint, and it was bad. It was really, really bad.
Yeah, I think you rescued it. I'm on the rescue side.
Yeah.
My other channel is called Abby's Retro Rescue. And I feel like when you find these old things, for me, it's like stuff in people's basement or whatever.
Sure.
It's like the toys I grew up with. I'm going to throw it in the washing machine. I'm going to rescue that thing, and I'm going to sell it to somebody else who wants it, or keep it for myself, because otherwise it's probably going to go in the trash.
So with pop culture stuff that like I collect, and then I see you like saving everything at estate sales, which I do too. But I save like big stupid things like cars.
I can't collect stuff that big, Travis. I know how to.
Yeah, well, then I start building garages. But everybody tells me to bring Lionel Richie on the cruise every year.
Oh, can we see it? Do you have it?
Yeah, it's on the desk.
Let's see.
Oh.
Okay, we need to tell everybody the story, but they'll probably recognize this because this is Travis somehow has secured the Lionel Richie head from.
That is
Hello.
incredible.
He's getting old. You can see he's.
What's he made out of?
He's made out of like plaster for your teeth. Like it's
like an enamel,
Tooth plastic.
Whatever it's called, like the molds they make for your teeth. So that video did not age well. If you, it's
but now it's kind of like a cult classic.
There you go.
He's mildly creepy.
But yeah, I mean, you can tell he's not brand new. If you remember in the video how horribly creepy the video. I mean, great song, great everything, but like he's the drama teacher
on the blind girl.
Yeah, that hits on the blind chick, and like she answers the phone and nobody's there, and like, calling a student. Just right. But at the end, she's like, "This is how I see you," and you turn around like, like, dude.
Oh, it's wonderful.
This is how I see you.
No, and it's like it looks like Cro-Magnon man, like Lionel Richie. Like you're like, honey, let's not. And they're like, I can't remember what the student runs into the classroom, and Mr. Wilson or whatever his name is. There's something going on in the art class, and it's only her in there. I mean, it could not be more creepy. But Lionel, he's I really want to put like a wick in his head or something. Like he's been around for a while. It's just.
Have you ever met Lionel Richie?
Never. I would probably be like, "Yo, want to sign Lionel?" But so, like, there's Haley and I have, like I said, a little bit of a gap between age. But she grew up on a Nickelodeon show called Legends of the Hidden Temple.
Oh,
and you
remember that
run through the thing. There was like the gray iguanas and the whatever else. But you would have to put together the silver monkey, and it would unlock all the doors.
Into the room with the secret password.
The silver monkey's in the house.
Oh my goodness!
Stop.
So
we were like grown adults, probably married, and we were watching that show.
Yeah.
It was pretty entertaining, honestly.
Yeah, Legends of the Hidden Temple. So she was like, "Oh, I love that show." And any little blonde girl, I always envisioned me being that girl running through the show. And so I found her the silver monkey, and
You didn't. Oh,
yeah, it's in the house. There's a lot going on in the house.
I love that. I respect that, honestly.
Yeah.
Yeah. Life goals. Hashtag goals. If we didn't have an HOA, Travis.
Oh yeah. Well, and that's why I live on 7 acres, because we can get what we're like. Even
You
though
can
I have.
get away with
You
a
can
lot.
do your own thing.
Yeah, I mean, heck, you could have a race right there in your backyard, and
It's not like we haven't. There's a 1/3 mile paved go-kart track in the backyard. So,
yeah, so we've watched that before.
We're gonna make it up there one of these days
One of
for
these
the
days.
race.
like I live in this pop culture paradise, from video games to I have a Hansel and Carbonite in the house, and like just these ridiculous things that my wife let me have. Like
Of course you do.
oh my God. And so, but that's why requests mean something to you. Like I can still see the cable guy in my parents' house with the box on top of the TV, and they had plugged us into cable. And the cable MTV was channel 21 on my set back in the day. You put it on 3 and then you. I asked the cable guy, I said, can I turn it on? And the first thing I did was turn on MTV. And the first video I saw was I Love Rock and Roll by Joan Jett. And granted, it may have been 2 years old or whatever else, but that's when MTV was still playing music. And so that's why it was like, there's some DJs that don't take requests, but you're telling me this song because it means something to you. And I'm not the biggest fan of I Love Rock and Roll by Joan Jett, but that was the first song I saw on MTV. So, and like, that's why I always tell them not to tell me who's coming. Like I have some dark horses, like I would kill for them to book Fabrice from Milli Vanilli on the 80s cruise.
Yes.
Not because there's huge talent there, even though Fabrice can sing. He can sing. Rob had the thick accent and sounded, but I think the whole damn 80s cruise would give him a hug.
Oh,
and
yeah.
be like, thank you, because he got thrown to the wolves and everything, and there's Sean Cassidy never sang the Do Ron Ron, but we always give him a pass because he was one, Sean Cassidy. And if nobody ever knows that, breaking news: Sean Cassidy just did this the whole time. So. So yeah, there's a lot of people that get a pass, but my dark horse every year is Milli Vanilli. I would, I would be I'd be like finding Abby on the promenade, like having a good cry, like oh my God, Milli Vanilli. So,
if I get to meet Andy Bell this year, I will try to keep my cool. But that's my big one. I'm so pumped for him.
Well, my last name's Bell.
Oh yeah, you related?
So I will be like Andy.
If you run into Andy, you better introduce me because
Keith, get the camera real quick.
Exactly.
But you and I hung out with Devo that day. Remember that?
That was so cool. And that video does not get the respect it needs. So I'm going to link that at the end of here. Okay. When you guys get done watching this, you need to watch the video where we hung out for a day with Travis Bell. And
we did behind the scenes. Yeah.
Thank you so much for doing that, by the way. That was that was our best day on the 80s cruise.
We can do it again. I know it's you and I always, and Keith, and we always kind of like, I got to be here at this time and here at this time and do this at this time. But if you're one day, you'll be like, okay, and we find out like if Andy's playing or if there's a sound check or something, let's go sneak off.
Awesome.
I mean, I would love that.
So do you remember when we met Mark? We gave him one of our channel stickers and he put it on the side of his keyboard.
On the side of the keyboard.
Wow. Our sticker.
That is like
That's
amazing.
So cool. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you.
No worries.
What an honor.
How's Abby's moment? Like, are you good?
Okay, Devo just put our sticker on their keyboard. So pretty starstruck right now, but I'm trying to hold it together.
I went to go see Devo, and I was stage because the keyboard. I was stage right, and I was like, dude, there's our 80s life sticker, like right on the side of the keyboard.
It's still there.
Well, I thought he was just being nice and doing it. So a few months ago, they had played a gig, and there were some pictures that someone took from the side, and I zoom in. And our sticker is still on the side of his keyboard.
We're so honored that that's still there. Some of these things, these people that we meet, the stories, it's incredible. You will never get another opportunity like what you get on the 80s cruise. And the funnest part is you don't know which one it's going to be. Yeah. You know who you're going to have that magic moment where you run into Tone Loc at the
place at 2 a.m.
What's up, y'all? How y'all doing? This is OG Tone Loc in the house. Welcome to 80s Live, y'all. Peace.
I ran into Tone Loc at the Walmart in
you did.
Wherever it was.
Puerto Vallarta.
Everything's a butterfly effect on the 80s cruise. Like you're like, and then you find out like Bret Michaels got on one of those little pond skipper boats to get back to the cruise when we were in.
It was Cabo, right?
Cabo.
Yeah, Cabo. And I'm like, my buddy Tim and Jackie, out of all the 80s cruises I've ever done, I've only DJ'd one wedding that came from the 80s cruise. And it was as a couple, and I drove all the way to North Carolina to DJ their wedding. but they ended up on that same little pond skipper boat back from Cabo to and it was like, you'll never believe. And it's all butterfly effect, like, things with the 80s crew, because you never know, like the All-Star Jam at night, every time, like I was singing Get Down on It with Kool and the Gang, and like, I can't remember what year that was. And my wife is like sitting there, and I'm like, dude, they're playing Get Down on It. And I'm like gone. And so she like whips out her phone and goes, the hell is Travis doing now? And I'm up there like, get down. I'm like singing Get Down on It. And like, everybody's like going, dude, you were like singing with Kool and the Gang. I'm like, yeah, like pinch me moment.
That's awesome.
We are lucky. It is the greatest week of the year.
Absolutely.
Cannot wait.
I know. We're so excited.
Well, as always, I appreciate your friendship. And I'm not only, like I said, the 80s Cruise DJ, I'm your DJ. And request me everything. And if you're a disc jockey coming up and you're like, no request, these people are paying your salary. They wouldn't request it if it didn't mean something to you. So that's why I always put it on the Facebook page. There was only 780 requests this year. So we may not get to them all. But if I'm lucky enough to DJ on the pool before that, I'll see you guys there. And so we're going to throw the last party on land the night before. And we figured we'd just get everybody ready for what's about to happen. So the 7-day cruise now kind of turns into an 8th with the last party on land. And then, of course, we had a license plate company. And so I made a retro DJ license plate for everybody that there. Yeah, that's it.
So cool.
And well, I just didn't want them to tip just to be, I'm that person that tips well. But this will be my gift to you for helping us get the equipment down. So we're going to hand those out, and they are real metal stamped Sunshine State license plates. If I'm lucky enough to be your DJ for prom this year, if you guys bring the 8mm camera or whatever it is every year, or if you've retired that one, I understand. So
it might make an appearance.
It takes a lot of space in the suitcase, but it is fun.
We also brought the 80s camcorder.
Yes.
Hey, we figured since we're going back to prom, we should go back 80s style. And so
Yes.
we're going to be vlogging with an 80s camcorder.
Good.
All right, you guys are the best.
Yeah, well, Travis,
You
thank you
are.
very much for joining the show, and it was great talking to you, and we cannot wait to see you in like 10 days.
Oh
Yeah.
my gosh.
Yeah.
That's crazy. We'll see you in Miami.
All right, have fun.
And
Safe
all of
trip.
you guys, thanks so much for watching. And be sure and click on the video after this so you can see our adventures with Travis on the 80s cruise.
Bye.
Bye.